Welcome to CWS Christian Writing and Speaking. I'm your host, Jackie Wilson, and today's guest is a prophetic minister, author, and speaker who empowers others to experience a God shift that moves them into a greater destiny. She is passionate about helping others develop a deeper understanding of God and the identity they have in Him. She has helped thousands of individuals and organizations around the world achieve personal growth and organizational excellence. She and her businesses have received multiple awards, and she has been featured in over 450 media outlets. Let's welcome to the CWS stage, Miss Shayna Rattler. Welcome,
Thank you for having
Shayna.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to hear about the God shift, but before we hear about it, tell us the background story. How did you come to the conclusion that people needed to learn about the God shift?
Yeah. So I want to give just what the definition of it is
Yeah.
first before I tell my story because it'll give some context. So my definition of a God shift is anytime you unlock your kingdom authority, you collide with God's purpose and you move into a greater destiny. So I've been a business girl since 2007. And during that time, I was teaching other businesses how to grow their businesses through corporate contracts, through corporate sponsors. I was writing books. I was speaking all across the world. I had celebrities and politicians as clients. I was doing all the things, right?
Hmm.
And so in 2018, to make this story as short as I can for the sake of time, in 2018, everything around me dried up. I had what I call my anti-Midas touch because everything I touched didn't turn to dirt, turned to gold, it turned to dirt. And
Mm.
so the long and the short of that was that the Lord was calling me to ministry. And like us who have children, we know our children and we know what it's going to take to get our children's attention. And so the Lord knew that if I was going to pay attention even a little bit to the fact that He was calling me to ministry, He was not going to allow my business to continue to be successful. He was not going to allow me to continue to be able to get the idea, figure out what needs to be done, and execute, like in that order and pretty quickly. So He had to allow me to find myself in a space where I was like, what the hell is going on? Like,
Mm.
I'm doing all the things, I'm hiring all the people, I'm doing everything that has worked before, and I'm not getting any traction. And so my God shift moment was when I had to find myself saying, Lord, I know you're up to something. I just don't know what. And I have to
Mm.
be open to not only receiving what it is that you want to do in my life, but I have to be open to two things. One, letting go of what it is that I had before, although they were great things. And then recognizing that you're not wanting me to just sit back and let you do it all, that you actually want me to play a role in you getting me to where it is that you need me next.
Yeah. And so you actually wrote a book about the God shift. Can you tell us the full title and what it is about?
Correct. So today, the title is called A God Shift, a Divine Move from Disruption to Destiny. However, I currently have a literary agent who is shopping me around to publishers, and they are wanting the name of that book to shift for two reasons. One, since the current version is already out, and it's going to be an expanded version of the current book. But originally, they told me they just wanted me to change the subtitle because they don't think people are sitting around thinking about their destiny, right? Like they're thinking about what they want to do in life, what they want to have in life, maybe even what they want to become in life, but they're not sitting around thinking of it in terms of, oh, I just can't wait to get to my destiny, right? So they're asking me to change the name of the subtitle to something that people would actually be thinking about. Well,
Hmm.
now they're saying they're not even sure that we should use the title of a God shift because that's the original title of the original book. So as of now, if you were to go to Amazon or if you were to go to my website, you'll see that it's called A God Shift, a Divine Move from Disruption to Destiny. But at the core, what that book is when God is using unexpected circumstances in our lives, when He's using disruption. And I think everyone can relate to that, right? Whether you're experiencing disappointments, delays, setbacks, or maybe you've accomplished everything that you've set out to do in your life, but you just can't ignore that inkling that there's another level of success with your name on it. The question is what are you going to do with that invitation? Because it's an invitation to greater. Are you going to see what he wants you to see? Are you going to learn what it is that he wants you to learn? And for many of us, are we going to go where it is that he needs us next? And so the book helps you to identify what your God shift is and then walk you through the steps to confidently put it in motion.
Can you tell us like what the first step may look like for someone?
Absolutely. So usually what we ask is, Lord, what do you want me to do?
Mhm.
Well, as soon as we recognize that our shifting season is going to be more about who we become than what it is that we do. So if you think about it, I don't think it's any coincidence that we're called human beings and not
Mhm.
human doings. So if we will focus on, like in the book, I say that my definition of becoming is shedding your weaknesses and amplifying your strengths. So when you
Mm.
think about what are the areas of your life that you need to focus on developing in order to become the best version of yourself, usually you attract the doing or the doing takes care of itself. And so in the first stage, it's not about, Lord, what do you want me to do? It's who do you want me to become? Because I can guarantee you that he's not going to give you anything to do that your shoulders can't carry. He's not
Mm.
going to give you anything to do that you have not developed yourself as the son or as the daughter to be able to walk out whatever assignment it is that he has for you.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about being a human being. When we think of God and He says, I am, it is the be verb. And it's the same thing with us. Who are we? So many people tie it to is currently going on in their life, but it is so important to understand who you are and whose you are in God. So, what's next for you, Shayna?
Oh, wow. I don't know. So I'm in a very unique season right now in that I know what the Lord has shown me and I know what it is that He's told me. He told me that I would preach and teach in stadiums, I would have a television show, and that I would use my prophetic gifts for celebrities and politicians. I have the television show, but I do believe that greater is coming in the forms of media that are not my own platforms. So I can say without a shadow of a doubt that you will see me in more media related things, but it's still yet to be seen exactly how that is going to come to fruition. But I think that that's an important lesson for us to talk about. Like, what do you do when you know
Yeah.
what God has shown you? You know what you see with your spiritual eyes, but you don't yet see it with your natural eyes. So I can tell you what I do, and this is what I recommend that each of us do. Think about what you can do based on what he's already said instead of waiting on what it is that he's going to say next. So for me, I do have my own platforms. I have a podcast, I have my Instagram, and I can continue to open up my mouth and share what the Lord is putting in me. I can continue to open up my mouth and share what it is that I'm studying, because what I do know is that everything that we need we already have within us. It's not,
Yeah.
we don't find our purpose, we don't like stumble upon or discover our purpose. Everything that we need is already within us. It tells us in Ephesians 2 and 10 that basically we're God's workmanship,
Yeah.
and in he created in us things that we were going to do beforehand. Now I'm paraphrasing and probably butchering it horribly, but go look it up. So it basically tells us that we're already ready, at least, Jackie, ready enough to start. So when
Yes.
time until those big media opportunities come, and I know that they are coming, I will just continue to open my mouth. I will continue to study so that I know that when the time comes, that what needs to come out of me is already in me. And I will continue to go on the platforms that I already have access to and open my mouth. So for you, each of you who are listening, you have to ask yourself, if I know what the Lord has shown me and I haven't yet seen it in the natural, what can I execute on now that I already have access to? And it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody, it's not going to be using your voice. Everybody, it's not going to be using your platforms. But I guarantee you, if you seek the Lord long enough and you think about it long enough, you will be able to identify what can you already do now with what you already have. And when you show yourself faithful with what you already have, then so the word tells us, like if we diligently seek him, if we seek the things of the kingdom first, it says then all these other things will be added to us. So use what you already have in your hands before you expect him to place anything else in them.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people you got to start practicing today what you want to become tomorrow because it's
Absolutely.
so important. You can't wait till you get there because you won't be ready for it.
Well, not only that, we think because we don't know how, that means we do nothing.
Yeah.
The how is what keeps us stuck. But guess what? The how is none of your business. The only thing the Lord needs is your yes. And when you give him your yes, that's when the how will show up. That's when the people will show up. That's when the resources will show up. But when I heard someone say the other day, and I told them that I was stealing it, is that destiny is always going to require you to take steps that are ordered and unknown.
Mm.
So, will you continue to take steps even when those steps are laced with uncertainty? Will you remember that the scripture tells us that his word will be a light unto our path? It didn't say it was going to be a light into the distance, but many of us, because we don't know how we're going to get into the distance, because we don't know every single step, we don't take any steps. But if we'll just recognize it's going to be a light into our path and we take a step, and then when we take another step, it's going to be a light into our path, and before you know it, you're into the distance. But we
Yeah.
stay stuck because we don't know all the how.
Yeah, you're
It's
so
crazy.
right, people.
It's
You need to
crazy.
listen to this. I've been through my journey, so I know. I know exactly how this goes. I know how hard it can get, but I also understand the reward that you will receive. And I tell people all the time, I had the nice job. I used to be an attorney. I had the money that I wanted and everything, but God shifted me into ministry. First children's ministry, now this podcast, and then into coaching. But to be in this space, to be able to help people be able to move forward in their lives and blossom as God has called them to blossom, there's no better feeling than this, so I encourage everyone, make sure you are listening to her and connecting with her. So tell people how to connect with you so they can get your book and just stay connected with you through social media.
Okay, absolutely. Well, actually, can I give your guest a free gift?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
We talked about becoming. So I have a free guide and it's called When God Says Shift. And inside that guide, it actually shares the 4 shifts that are required for you to get into a greater destiny, more possibility, more expectancy. So we talked about the first shift, and that's becoming. But there's 3 other shifts that are going to really be critical if we're going to get from where we are now to where it is that we want to be. And you can get that at godsayshift.com. That's godsayshift.com. But if you're on Instagram, that's the best place to follow us on social media. We're at a God Shift. The website is a godshift.com. But the best place to start is to get that free guide, because that's information that you can get right now and you can start to put in practice right now. And so, again, you can get that at godsayshift.com.
Shayna, thank you so much for sharing your story and just giving us these nuggets. So, I mean, people can start using this right now. So, CWS audience, I hope you were listening close. Not only use this for yourself, but go tell somebody else. This is going to bless your life and their life as well. Thank you for listening to this episode, joining us for Shayna's interview. And until next time, beautiful people, God bless.